Hey everybody, welcome to Shit Talk Reviews. I am John. In the room with me, as always, Derek and David J. We have been fortunate on a few occasions over the last year or so to have some really great people join us for conversations. And today we are fortunate enough to have not one, but two additional folks jump in into the Shit Talk melee with us. So do me a favor, fellas, put your Shit Talk rock horns up for Mr. Johnny Kelly and Mr. Dan Lorenzo from Patriarchs In Black. Welcome. Thanks so much for joining us, guys. It's great to have you.
What's up, guys? To be back.
Great, guys.
Welcome.
Great stuff.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, it's good to see you. So you guys have a new album coming out with Patriarchs In Black called Visioning, and came out fast. I feel like we just were talking to Dan about the last record. So tell us a little bit about how this came together.
I'm not going to lie. I wasn't sure what record we were talking about.
Oh, really? Well, you're the jack of all trades, Johnny. You're, my God, you have hands in a lot of cookie jars, my friend.
It does get confusing, and especially with working with Dan, because Dan works really fast, and I'm not used to anything moving quickly in my world. And so, like, now that we're starting to do press, like, to promote the new record, it feels like, like the last record just came out a few months ago, and we're already working on promoting another one. And I literally am getting confused on what record we're promoting, which one we're going to talk about.
Well, I was hoping at some point, we could get into your work with Lionel Richie at some point.
I'd be sad.
To make things more confusing for Johnny, Johnny's already working on songs with me for the next record. So before he realizes he's been recording with the hack, I hope to have 4 records finished with him, before he notices what he's really got.
I was in the studio today, finally, for the first time in a while, like working on stuff. And I'm like, I really am getting confused as to what record I'm working on. It's only Dan, because Dan just constantly sends me stuff, and so when I can get in the room and I start working on it, it's just like, all right, whatever, work on a song, and it has some whatever weird working title, and then it stays that way until like the record's done. Or like it's mixed and mastered, and then it'll have an actual title to it or something.
Does he nag you to get it done, or nothing like that?
Yeah,
no?
he could be a pain in the ass sometimes.
Not lately.
No, not lately, but he can be. Yeah, like today I was working on a song titled Robert, and I'm pretty certain it's not going to be called Robert when it's done.
Nope.
No,
that's the standard flow though for you, right?
So then the mixes will start coming in, like the other players will get involved in stuff, and it'll be like, what song is this? And then it'll be like, oh, that's Robert. And I'll be like, oh, okay, that's
Well, how did this come together so quickly? Like, how many of these songs were already done when we last talked, Dan?
None of them.
None of them.
Wow.
So you just roll out of bed and just, ejaculate riffs is what it seems like.
Wow, that's a really unique way of putting it.
Yeah.
Do you really want to touch that question, Dan?
Yeah, somehow it's reversing, because the older I get, my ejaculations of riffs is increasing. Actual ejaculations may be decreasing.
Is this a Cialis commercial?
They're actually a new sponsor, so
Good talk, brought to you by Hymns.
Yeah.
It is really bizarre that it's getting easier and easier, because I was just telling somebody today when I was working on the second Hades record, how you have your whole album, you have your whole life, whatever age you are to write your first record. And then the second one's like, oh my God, we got to do this again. But as I get older, it just gets easier and easier, because, back when I was writing in the 80s, I had no way. I'd write a riff and I'd have to keep playing it over and over so I remember it, where now I'll just go upstairs, and if I play guitar for 20 minutes and I write one riff or 2 riffs I like, I put it on my phone. I don't think about it. The next day I wake up, if I like it, I expand upon it.
Well, technology has got to be, one of the things that makes this whole thing possible, with you guys being in different parts of the country. Back in the days, as everybody had to be in the same room at the same time. And the writing process, I'm sure, was a little different. Whereas now you can kick ideas back and forth from, between here and Timbuktu, no problem.
Well, that's, to me, that's part of the intriguing challenge of it. Like Dan just sends me, he'll just send me, like a scratch guitar to whatever, and he'll tell me whatever. The engineer would be like, all right, whatever, this is 180 BPMs, and then I just start putting drums to it, not really knowing what's going to be a verse, what's going to be a chorus, or whatever, and so a lot of times I take liberty with it and be like, all right, this will probably be the verse, this will be the intro, whatever, chorus, and then if there's a key change or something. And then there'll be areas where Dan and I will come into disagreements on where I think it needs a guitar solo, and Dan's not very big on guitar solos, and I'd be like, no, it needs a guitar solo.
That didn't happen.
It's more, and then he'll put something to it, and I'll be like, you see how well that worked.
It's more of a testament, though, to you two guys as true musicians, because Dan just said it perfect. He could sit upstairs for 20 minutes with all this technology and just boom, bang things out. But when you guys were growing up and getting into this, Dan had to sit by a radio on a cassette and stop every 30 seconds to learn a song on guitar, where you had to do the same thing, John. Today it's so much different. And there's a reason why there's such demand for you guys and your type of music and what you're doing, because it's as the Italians would say in Jersey, you guys will appreciate it. It's a fugazi. It doesn't mean anything. Everything is just computerized now. There's no true muscle to it anymore. I still view myself as kind of like an old school person. I am somewhat computer savvy. I wouldn't say that I'm going to join the IT team anytime soon, but during the pandemic, I took the opportunity to get into recording live drums. And, for years I was doing stuff with MIDI, even going back to, the Typo record stuff. And I was for years I was doing MIDI stuff at home. And even the technology that's come about, say in the last 10, 15 years, you can get absolutely killer drum sounds. Yeah. And I'll get it. I'll be working on this stuff and getting things that I want while I'm watching South Park.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of being making studio time and going into a facility and working with stuff, or what we used to do, working on the Typo records was Josh had everything set up at his house, and I'd have to go to his house and work on it and work on it in his room, instead of being able to just take stuff, what I've been doing for years, work on a song from home and then just, email it. The quality of the technology has gotten so much better and so much more advanced, but at the same time, so much more simpler, where I literally work on a laptop all day.
Yeah. Well, here's a question for both of you guys, having recorded and written in both of those realms. Do you have a preference for one over the other? Do you romanticize the days when it was, everybody get on the horn, make sure you're in the same room together for writing sessions, or where do you stand on it?
Yes and no. I like having the ability to sit there and go through stuff at my own leisure, to be able to sit there and work and try out different things, try different patterns, try a different approach to the song, and then be able to present it to Dan, or for instance, and then he could say, yeah, this is cool, or whatever, I'm not feeling it. What about trying something like this? And I could just take that and then, go into my room and just work on changing around that pattern or whatever, changing around that part of the song, and then presenting something else.
Yeah. What about you, Dan?
I love doing it like this because in the old days, I remember Hades would have 3 rehearsals a week, and everybody wanted it that way. And I was just like, God, I already know these songs. What are we doing? Why do I need to why are you punishing me? Because you need to remember how to play these songs. They're the same chords. Nothing's changing. It's the same as it was a month ago. So, and then when I started nonfiction, we had it wasn't even a rule. It just happened to be that we would never rehearse a song unless it wasn't on an album yet. We would only rehearse to write new songs, never to go. If we were going to do a tour and we're going to leave on Thursday. Maybe we do an open mic night of like 3 songs at some, small club on a Tuesday, just to see each other again. But to me, repetition just kills music. And I don't want to like have to rehearse a song like 95 times before we go record it, or the drummer made a mistake, so now I got to play the riff again because the drummer made another mistake. So it's like now it's just I go in the studio, I write the song, I finish it on a Sunday night or a Monday morning, and I'm recording a Tuesday night. When to me it's at its most exciting. It's always the most thrilling right after you wrote it. And I really don't
Makes sense.
I don't have like regrets like, oh, I should have arranged this. Like I wait until I have an arrangement as well. Like sometimes I'll have riffs and a pretty good idea, but I won't book the studio time until I'm like 99% sure how I want to arrange the song. And then when I know I have a time, I got to finish it. I really work on it so that I finish it,
So let's do this. July 19th, the record's coming out, Visioning by Patriarchs in Black. I wanted to do a rapid fire. I'm going to list off the album titles, each track, and you guys give me one word or one sentence to describe
I don't know the names of the songs.
Every song is Robert.
Yes. So maybe this is a game for Dan.
Different than what
You might want to go to Dan on this one.
Yeah. You know what's funny, Johnny?
One word?
One word. If you want to do one word, we can do one word. You want to do that?
Because that's hard. I can't think of one word.
All right, let's do one sentence. Whatever pops in your head. You ready?
Yeah.
All right. This is Patriarchs in Black, Visioning, and the first track is Entry.
I wrote it in my head. I played it on the guitar. I'm like, this doesn't sound good. This is nothing. It must be a different instrument. So I thought violin. I called up this guy and he made it a viola.
Cool.
Very nice.
What do they know for the champions?
Mark Sunshine.
Yeah,
Sunshine. Artist. Visionary genius.
He's a great singer. Unbelievable.
Fantastic.
He's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Before I Go.
Carl Legel, and we had some issues where I wasn't thrilled with his first performance, and we actually had a little bit of this, which I was surprised with Carl. And then it came out to be one of my favorite songs on the record after we kind of reworked a couple things.
Johnny, you have anything?
Carl is pretty awesome, and I love what he brings to Patriarchs.
Absolutely.
Yeah, his Corrosion stuff is some of my favorite of all time, like tracks albums I still listen to.
But he has a very unique voice.
Mm-hmm.
And
sure does.
And it works well with Dan's writing, Dan's guitar riffs. I like it a lot.
Yeah, from a preference standpoint, my favorite tracks have been the ones with Carl, with Patriarchs in Black. Just they're amazing. Heart of Spite.
Johnny Araya on bass and Rob from Blackwater Rising on vocals. And it's so here's the song where I thought of Derek.
Oh.
So Derek, I think you're the right one. The last album, My Veneration, you guys, everything you said about it blew me away, made me so happy. Now, but you kept calling it a rock album. Was that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's Derek.
And I kept thinking after, I'm like, all right, it's cool. They all love it so much, but couldn't they at least call it hard rock? Because, I grew up on Kiss, and, that's a rock band. To be the Eagles are a rock band. We're certainly heavier than that. So I always think, even though I'm straight, I think it's stoner rock or doom. So I wrote Heart of Spite. I'm like, all right, there's no way Derek's going to be able to call this a rock song.
Okay.
I swear to God, Derek, I thought of you. I thought of you guys, you three, like, this is effing heavy. I wonder what they're going to call this. So that's, Derek came into play on this song a little bit.
Very cool, Dan. Thanks for sharing that. That's awesome.
I'm very honored, and I'm glad that I could irritate you and kick the hornet's nest for you to write something super fucking heavy. That's great. Low Price.
Low Price. When Mark Sunshine gave me that song title, I'm like, this is the most horrible song title in the world. And I read the lyrics and I heard the melody. It was the first song I wrote musically for the new album. And if you read the lyrics and what he's talking about, a guy in New Jersey that we know, and he's a good, very talented singer, but he was kind of a cover band guy, and he tried to do the original thing and it didn't work out. And the lyrics are about now he works at some store called Low Price or something that's in South Jersey. And there's a spot when the song goes up tempo and then hits a wall, and it goes back to the original tempo, and I play guitar solo. The singer, the guy, sees the woman in his department store that he had a crush on his whole life, and she doesn't even recognize him.
Yeah.
Lyrically, it hits that wall, and he's just shattered. And the lyrics are just so brilliant, so brilliant.
Very cool.
Awesome. That's great. Welcome to Hell Again. Love this track.
Thank you. So that one has DMC on it.
Yeah.
And Kelly Abe from Resection Music. Kelly Abe, a couple of years ago, had cancer. Before that, he was on a TV show called Search for the Next Ozfest, and Sharon Osbourne wasn't a big fan of his certain things about him. But he's the youngest guy in the project. He's the guy who is influenced by things that Johnny and I are not influenced by. And some interviewer from London today told me he doesn't like hip hop, but he's just loving this song, Welcome to Hell Again.
Very creative, very cool. My kids actually heard it. I was playing it today, and we have these big Fisher speakers. They're old, and we had the house shaking to it, and they were like, "That's badass." And I'm like, "Yeah, 12-year-old and a 10-year-old are into it, so that's cool." Okay, let's move on. Whiskey on My Mind.
Johnny, I've been talking. You want to talk this one? Or no?
I just like the stories, the messages that I was getting from you while the guy was singing this song,
which only took him about 10 minutes, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
But everything leading up to it,
so,
getting him.
So I wrote the song and I gave it to Johnny's buddy Dewey Bragg, and Dewey was too busy. So I even sent them like lyrics and melody lines. So I'm like, if we're not going to have Dewey sing it, I want somebody like a ZZ Top, or I hear an old black blues singer, but I don't know any old black blues singer. And I asked J-Rod, he's like, and he texted me back, nah, I don't know anybody. And then a minute later, the engineer J-Rod writes, oh, I do know somebody. He does an open mic night on Wednesday nights in Nyack. His name is this, look for him on Instagram. And how many old people hang out on Instagram a long time? I send him a DM and I get his phone number, we call him. And I didn't know him. I'm like, is this guy going to show up? Like, what's going to happen? So Dave Niebuhr was actually doing his bass line to the song. Oh man, what's the real title of the song, Johnny? The one Carl Legel sings, Before I Go. And I said, Dave, do me a favor. If this guy shows up at all, or if he shows up on time, just please give me an hour. Can you hang out? He's like, yeah, no problem. So this guy walks in, and Frankie Diaz, he walks in, he has a driver driving there. I hand him $100. I'm like, did you listen to the text I sent you? He's like, yeah, I got it. And I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen here. He starts singing. I'm like, oh my God, this is better than I thought it would be.
Holy shit.
And it's just a 12-bar blues song, pretty much, but it's like Do Me. And then 10 minutes later, he was gone. It was just perfect. Johnny actually said, some of the last verses he sang like as if you were going to change key again. Not really change key, but go into from an E, go from the tonic to the fourth. And I deleted some of his vocals for that part and added some guitar solos. And that song is going to surprise a lot of people. And that's a long story. It's way more than a word or a sentence.
Yeah, that's okay. More information, the better. We're here to wet people's whistle, and so you're certainly doing that. Empty Cup, and I have to tell you a story.
Okay.
David is the biggest Eddie Van Halen fan ever, and when I saw the name Empty Cup, I mean, I feel like since Eddie died, he has had an empty cup, and so hopefully this song will fill his cup of just ever so
when you
slightly.
hear my guitar solos, it's not going to fill any cup with Eddie's. Nobody's going to confuse me for Eddie.
Yeah.
But so that was a song. Kyle Thomas, another guy whose voice I loved, he was in a band called Alabama Thunder Pussy, which I love.
Yeah.
Exhorter now, and Exhorter are actually doing pretty well again. But again, I sent him a DM, and I got to give Johnny credit. I said, I always like, yeah, I'm doing a project with Johnny Kelly, who used to be in Typo Negative, and people don't even ask like, hey, how much money? They're just like, yeah, I'm in. It's like crazy. And I never met Kyle before. And it's another guy I never met before. Johnny Kelly's buddy, Johnny Araya, is on bass. And I got to admit, this is the one song when I heard the vocal line, he's like, what do you think? I'm like, yeah, it's great. And I really didn't like it. I listened to it a second and a third time because I always have stuff in my head when I write my songs. And when it's different, whether it's drums or vocals, it's different than what's in my head. I'm like, eh. So I listened to it again. And by the third time, I'm like, this is really good. This is not what I had in mind, but it's really, really good. And then it became one of my favorite songs on the album.
Good for you for being able to step back and, collaborate, especially when you have success. I mean, both of you are established musicians in your
Johnny's
craft.
had success. I've had no success, so I gotta collaborate.
Johnny's like, no.
Let's use that term loosely.
Yeah, he has to drive dogs around.
Success.
He doesn't have drivers for his pets yet.
No.
Not yet.
No. I am pet Uber.
You're pet Uber. Let's keep going. Curse My Name.
That is a song. It's the one song on the album that we gave to somebody else. We didn't love what they did to it. And then I originally didn't want anybody from my past singing on these records, but we broke that rule. We used Jason McMaster from Dangerous Toys and Broken Teeth. And Jason's actually in more bands than Johnny, like a lot more bands.
I didn't think that was possible.
Yeah, he really is. He gives me the list. I'm like, this has got to be a joke, But time's up. What was that?
I got a text message from 7-Eleven.
So yeah, that was Jason McMaster on vocals.
Got it. A Few Good Men.
That is again Kelly Abe. It's the most up-tempo song on the record. And Kelly Abe, who sang 3 songs on the previous record on My Veneration. That's the second song for this one.
And you've got a DJ spinning on that track, do you not?
I don't. Kelly Abe.
No, you don't, but there is one?
Yeah. But you can't even hardly notice it. It's in there. And again, that's nothing Johnny and I would have ever asked for, but it works. It's cool.
Nice.
So Johnny, when you were back in Typo Negative, did you ever think that you'd ever be in a band with a DJ playing?
Honestly, no.
Danzig, maybe? No Danzig?
Oh, not Danzig. Definitely not Danzig.
No. All right, Birth.
Birth is a song. It's just an acoustic thing, and I wrote it, and I liked it, and I thought maybe it could be something where there could be singing over it. And I'm like, nah, it doesn't sound like it needs singing. I think it needs an opera singer. I played basketball with an opera singer. He never showed up. So I asked Dave Niebuhr what he thought. He wanted some keyboards in it. And Jonathan Eng played the viola, a couple of melody lines that I wrote on guitar and gave him, and a couple of things he thought of on his own. And I'm not like Mr. Richie Blackmore. I do love a lot of Rainbow songs, but I'm not influenced by Richie Blackmore, but somehow it ended up sounding sort of like Richie Blackmore. I don't know how.
Well, that sounds great. And the last one's Visioning.
Big one. That's a big one. The title track with the lyric, when I first discovered the word visioning, I've since realized and found out there's multiple meanings to the word visioning. But when I first discovered the word, it was something I sent to Johnny. When, say, people are in hospice and they're literally on their last couple days of life, family members or maybe school teachers or somebody who is important in their life is in the room with them saying, hey, it's time to go or whatever. Or they start just seeing people from their past who have since been deceased. And that's where I got the lyric. That's where I got the title from. But Sunshine didn't really write about that.
Got it. Well, we're excited for the record. We can't wait till July 19th comes around. We'll absolutely be reviewing it. Switching gears just a little bit, we haven't had Johnny on the podcast before, and we'd be completely remiss to not fire off some questions. And I know David's been chomping at the bit to ask you a question about a certain hero of his that Johnny. So go ahead.
Hey,
What do you
Johnny,
want to know about Kenny?
Real quick.
Definitely
Real
Kenny.
quick. We had Eric Morgan on. We love Eric. He's
Eric's
great
played
guy.
on the record.
Yes, he has. Yeah. And we had him on the show, and he was fantastic. And he just mentioned in talking, kind of in passing, that you were somewhat friendly with Bill Ward from Sabbath. And I'm dying to know, because I'm such a huge fan of him and Sabbath. What's the thoughts on that? Are you indeed friendly with Ward? Maybe when's the last time you spoke to him? And just
when did I
what's
speak
it like?
When did I speak to him last? I spoke to him. We text a lot, and it was about a month ago. There was an article, a video came out from I don't know if you're familiar with the Drumeo. It's a drum website. you know, they do instruction videos and they have subscription service and stuff. Anyway, they've been doing they've been putting together like these I guess documentaries of you know, different drummers, and they did one on Bill Ward, and it was about like 45 minutes long or whatever, and it was fantastic. It was really well put together. And I sent a link to Bill, and I was like, it's about damn time.
John, have you been in this, like, were you ever in the studio with him? Have you ever hung out where it was like,
yes,
really behind the scenes?
I've recorded with him. Yeah. He wrote a song a few years ago. He wrote it after Peter died, and he wrote it as a tribute to Peter, and he got me, Kenny, and Josh to play on it. I don't know when it's coming out or anything like that. You know, Bill operates on his own plane and he does his own thing. But yeah, it was cool. Kenny and we went out to LA for, I don't know, like 5 days or whatever, worked on the song. And, you know, like the best part of the whole experience was driving to and from the studio with Bill.
Yeah. Amazing.
We would sit there and we would trade war stories. Bill is actually a really big Typo fan. And so he loved hearing the stories, like, you know, with me and Kenny, like, you know, telling war stories and stuff like that. And then Bill would say, oh, yeah, there was this one time, you know, and stuff. And would just, like, you know, like just completely blow our minds.
I mean, John, like, how crazy.
These guys created this.
John, how crazy is that, though? This Bill Ward, right? The people would kill to be in the same car with this guy. You're growing up as a drummer, and now you're hanging out with him, and he's complimenting you. I mean, that's got to be unbelievable.
Surreal moments where it's like you know, you meet one of your heroes, and they turn out to be, like, you know, really amazing people.
Right. Fabulous. Thank you. Really appreciate that.
And he really is. He's one of the sweetest people I've ever met.
Johnny, what was your first significant band? You know, whether it was you and the guys down the street, you know, working in somebody's garage. What was your first band as a young player that you took seriously? Maybe not that. Well, I went out and toured or anything.
I mean, you know, like, I guess, like, when I first started taking stuff seriously was like when I met Kenny as a teenager.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we started playing together. You know, we were two guys that we had a lot of mutual friends. We had mutual friends, but didn't really know each other. But we come from the same neighborhood.
Yeah.
And a mutual friend of ours saw that Kenny didn't have a band, and saw that I wasn't playing in a band at the time. And so he introduced the two of us together, and then we started, you know, for a long time, it was just Kenny and I. Mm-hmm. No bass player, no singer, no nothing. Just him and I going to the studio and working on his, you know, songs that he had written.
Yeah. And what was that called? What was that band name?
That band was called Hellraiser. You know, this was like in the mid-'80s.
It's an awesome name.
Mid-'80s, and, like, you know, speed metal and thrash and stuff. And we were determined, and it was like nothing ever came of it, but we were pretty determined.
No, but you just said that you spent time in the studio, so I'm guessing that there are tapes somewhere, correct?
There is a demo, yeah. We did a demo. We recorded a demo at Josh's house.
And what's the chance of us getting to hear that?
Slim to none.
Yeah.
You can't blame me for asking, right?
So I have a lovely transition. I am. You're still with.
Yes.
Yeah. You're still with Kenny. You've been in the studio with Kirk Winstein and Todd Strange of Crowbar. Tell us a little bit about that. Is there anything you can reveal on that record?
The thing to me was like what the end result became caught me completely by surprise.
Really?
Yeah.
How so?
Well, I was like, you know, like when you look at, you take members of Typo and you take members of Crowbar and you put them in a room together, and you would think probably like the heaviest thing that like somewhat resembles music is going to come out of that. Mm-hmm. And it didn't. It was pleasant, you know, pleasantly surprising how, like, you know, a lot of what we did there's a lot of melody in it and stuff like that. And it's not just trying to be like, you know, like this super heavy, you know, doomy, what you'd expect. Mm-hmm. You know, there's a lot more color in it than I was expecting. And I was, you know, pleasantly surprised by it. And it was, you know, like, to me, like, doing that, it was more about the experience and being in the moment. Mm-hmm. And you know, it was cautious at first because I really wasn't sure what to expect on how we would all work together. I mean, we've all known Todd and Kirk for years, decades at this point. But like when you're in a room together, working, it's different than hanging out at a bar and having a few beers and like partying or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're trying to create something, and really wasn't sure what to expect, and I was really nervous about how Todd and Kirk would handle the way Kenny and I communicate when we're working on music.
And what does that mean? Is it non-professional? Is it goofy?
It's very non-professional. It's like watching an abusive relation, like abusive, like husband and wife, when people get old.
Two dicks from Brooklyn.
Yeah. And it's just like a lot of the way we communicate, there isn't any, it's a lot of a tough love, and there really isn't any sugarcoating anything. So Kenny and I will have no problem, really yelling and insulting each other, but we're looking at the bigger picture of trying to get something done. So it's like, we don't really worry about about the delivery.
Mm.
So I was concerned about how Todd and Kirk would respond to the way Kenny and I, work together. And but actually, they did really well.
well, that's good. They seem like very charming gentlemen. I've not yet talked to either.
No, they're great. They're really funny, and they're they're very creative, and they're decent people. So, and they're just a genuine pleasure to be around. So that made it just so much more fun.
So what's interesting is you've been in the studio with Peter, obviously, Dan, Glenn Danzig. What is it that makes such amazing musicians and songwriters that you've had a chance to work with? What makes them great, do you think? What is it that you've noticed?
Really, each one is kind of unique in their own way, but at the same time, everybody's trying to do the same thing and write a great song.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody's approach to it is different. Peter was very eccentric
mm-hmm.
in his approach to songwriting, even though he really was very knowledgeable on how to write a song. He could write a song in any state of mind or whatever. It was just something that was just naturally available to him.
Mm-hmm.
And he would hear different aspects of the song as he was you would just take just a basic riff, and he's already had a lot of the different colors and different things to it already.
Layers.
Yeah. And and then at the same time, he would have the ability to do something that was so melodic and melancholy, and then he would have this really sarcastic and witty lyric to go about it, which would completely contrast it. Mm-hmm. And which I thought was really clever, and actually at the same time poking fun at the whole thing, as serious as you would think it would be, the approach would be taken to create something like that. It was the furthest thing from it.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't by accident. For instance, a guy like Glenn just doesn't give a shit. He's in this purely for himself, and what his idea of cool is and what he wants to hear and how he wants to hear it. It's his thing. And if you're into it, great. If not, fuck you, move aside. And, he's going to keep doing his own thing. And I think that's one of the main things as to why he's been able to maintain credibility and be successful for so many years.
Yeah, vision. And what would you say about Dan? I mean, he certainly has his
Dan
vision for these songs.
Fastest worker, the fastest. He's able to come up with stuff that's really cool, and he does it. There's no shortage of it. Since Dan and I have worked together, I haven't yet come across a conversation where he's like, I have writer's block.
The riff machine.
Yeah, really, he's an animal.
A guy like Mark Zavon is like that in Kill Devil Hill.
Mm-hmm.
The thing with Dan is, and I've only known Dan a short time, just from what I know of Dan and follow him on social media.
Like he's not here.
Dan's the real deal. I mean, he's a fucking really good musician, and but he seems like Dan seems like a really good guy too, like a kind of guy you really want to be friends with.
Dan,
he would have your back.
Dan is solid people.
Yeah, I could tell. Yeah.
But I'm not a good musician, and I a few months
No,
ago.
that's not true. It's not true. You sell yourself short. You should be doing more guitar solos.
All right, but
there you go.
So what I think of a good musician, like, I mean, you guys don't realize how little I play guitar over the course of a year. I mean, it can be as little as an hour and a half a week, and out of that hour and a half, an hour and 15 minutes of it, I'm in the recording studio because I spent 15 minutes writing a song, But it's always like embarrassing to me. Like a few months ago, I went on stage with Bobby Blitz's All Stars, and it's Jay Blitz from Overkill singing, JD, who graduated Berkeley from Black Label Society on bass, Chris Caffery, who plays in Trans-Siberian Orchestra, and then there's me. And it's like so embarrassing. And the first song we started was Highway to Hell. And I remember we had 3 guitar players on stage. I'm like, somebody else is going to start it. And everybody's like, look at me like, you start. I'm like, why would I start this song? Like, it was so funny because I have no confidence in my playing when I'm next to what I consider to be real musicians. But I can just do what I do very well. Like, say if Johnny and I were going to play.
I've had a whole career of that. Being the weakest link in the room. Being the weakest link in the chain.
Maybe that's why we work well together. But it actually like really hurts from here to here whenever I play guitar for even 5 minutes. It hurts really bad. But so I have to write songs that are within my playing capability. And I've told Johnny, even if I'm the worst musician in the room, like if Johnny and I were going to play Kiss Alive right now, I might play something sloppily, but I know how the songs go. Like once I play a song, I know how to play it forever. Like I'm not going to forget the changes. You know what I mean? So that's like
Dan. Hey Dan, are your wheels always turning? No, be honest. Like, are they when you lay in bed at night? Are you just constantly thinking of riffs and thinking you are right? Yeah,
so bad, man. Like I told, not last night, the night before. I'm working with DMC a lot lately, and I'm writing stuff for him. And I sent him this new idea, and he loves it, And literally, it's pathetic. I woke up at 2 a.m. and the new song went on an endless loop in my head from 2 a.m. till 5 a.m. And I literally can't turn it off, and it fucking sucks because I have a day job, And it's a problem.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah.
Well, we appreciate your time. Before we let you guys go, I have, and Johnny knows, Typo Negative. Peter's still alive in the digital world. I mean, I can't turn on social media and not see his face, not hear him. What's coming down the pipe for Typo? I know you had alluded to the fact that you'd love to be able to have a woman sing or get these songs out in some capacity. Is that still something you love to do?
That's like, like that isn't something that's actively being pursued or anything, like that stuff comes up in like conversation, and it would be like, like I think like the expected thing would be to like, like if there was to be any kind of like, tribute show or something like that, it'd be like, all right, we're going to find a guy 7 feet tall with long black hair and fangs. And it would be so typical, and it really would be, like a Vegas, like tribute show,
right?
And I have to
ask.
I don't think that would like, that to me that would be doing a disservice to Peter's, legacy in his career. It wouldn't be celebrating it; it would be mocking it.
Agreed. It's a tough thing, and there's some people that are out there throughout the world that know my time helping Sal with A Pale Horse Named Death, and so they reach out. They're like, "Oh, what are they doing? I don't fucking know. I don't think anything." But that was what people wanted to know: are these songs ever going to be able to be played? But I wanted the other thing I wanted to pass along to you is everybody does thank you and Kenny for the merch, keeping Typo out there. Hopefully you guys will continue to do that because they appreciate it. I appreciate it as a fan.
It's been cool. Like, like some of the stuff has been like, been like, like when it comes through, like our merch deal is with Warner.
Yeah.
And so then they we'll get the emails from our manager and be like, hey, here's some of the ideas that they came up with and stuff. And, sometimes the stuff is cool and sometimes like, well, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was it? It's like the thing that perplexed me, the weirdest thing that we've done so far is like the typo negative, like poncho.
Yeah.
And it just reminded me, like that Seinfeld episode, The Urban Sombrero.
Oh man, that's awesome.
It was like this typo poncho. It was like who's gonna? I mean, well, who fucking wears a poncho in 2020, whatever it was, 2023?
Yeah,
and what typo negative fan is going to buy a poncho? And it was brought back to us. They were like, these things sell really well. I was like, I want to see. They sold out.
Oh,
really?
shit.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
they sent me one. I was like, they sent one to me. I was looking, I was like, I'm not going to wear this. I gave it to my daughter. I don't think she ever wore it either. I have a few copies of, I think it's Life is Killing Me, but it doesn't have the Life is Killing Me record in it.
Wow.
I think it has like Slow, Deep, and Hard in it or something.
Some mistakes.
Wow.
It was something really weird. And so then I was asking my manager, I was like, wow, it was like some kind of like manufacturing mistake. And I was like, wow, that's really, really odd and messed up. And I was like, can I auction these?
That's cool. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. You should absolutely auction those.
Like, hang on, don't auction it yet.
Well, Dan, while he's shuffling around in his sea of typo negative merch, you had mentioned something about some of your bands you're putting out on vinyl.
Yeah, just a lot of the Hades and the nonfiction that came out on vinyl 30, 35, 40 years ago or never before. Like there's even a Hades album called The Lost Fox Studio Sessions, which isn't a great recording at all. It's us literally live in the studio. It's coming out on vinyl in a couple months. And we've got some T-shirt deals for Hades and nonfiction. But really, my heart right now is on Patriarchs in Black. That's
we got these too.
Vinyl and CD comes out July 19th of the new album.
Very cool.
Johnny, I bought one of those and I love it.
This out?
Yeah. Yeah. I got it in the mail just recently. Yeah. And it's suspended in dusk. It has suspended in dusk. It's a digipack.
Like the digipack version of the record. So it has suspended in dusk on it. And it doesn't have Kill All the White People and We Hate Everyone.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Okay.
That's correct.
And so, and it's in I really had no idea it was a picture disc until I just opened the box.
Dan, you just mentioned you've got some of your old stuff coming out again. And that takes me to a couple of covers that you guys recently posted up that have hit all the streaming platforms. Destroyer and God of Thunder that you did, which are both great, by the way.
Fantastic.
Yeah. And I was listening to God of Thunder earlier today, and it got me thinking, like, your version of it is so much heavier, and it's got, the balls are so much bigger than the original recording. And I'm one of those guys, and I'm plenty of people would fault me for this. Like, I would rather watch a new modern movie. Why? Because it's got modern production techniques and it's slicker and it's, everything's a little cleaner and just better. Right.
Can't say that about the Godzilla movies. Sorry.
Which is fair, true. And that leads to my question. Yeah. Like, where do you guys stand on, like, obviously the original version of God of Thunder in and of itself is great because it's the original, right? There's nothing wrong with it necessarily, but then you guys dropped this version of it that shows how it maybe could have been recorded the first time with some real ass to it and some real teeth. Like, where do you guys sit on that scale? Do you lean towards don't mess too much with the vintage, with the original, or vacillate a little bit towards, like, do you prefer the new stuff because of modern tech and what you can do with it now?
Well, if I could answer this, Johnny, one thing I admire about, like, Pete Steele is when he covered Cinnamon Girl. Nonfiction was covering Cinnamon Girl at rehearsal, and it sounded just like the Neil Young version, only a little bit heavier and tuned down, which is, I've never had a vision for taking a cover song and making it so much heavier. It just, or making it completely different, I should say.
Right.
Just a little bit heavier because of the modern recording techniques. But Johnny had an idea that we're working on it right now, actually. Well, it's a Peter Gabriel song, right, Johnny?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Do tell.
So that, because that song wasn't heavy to begin with, I actually did something that reminded me a little bit of Typo Negative, I thought, the guitar playing. It was Johnny's idea to do the song and do it a little slower, but actually, and Johnny had the idea for Friends from Led Zeppelin to slow it down a lot.
Great.
Great song.
Great
Song.
Yeah, it was a cool, pretty cool version that we did with it, and with Militia singing on it. She crushed it. God of Thunder.
Yeah.
You know, like if without those bands, like, you know, like laying down the groundwork for that kind of, you know, doing what they were doing back then, there is nothing that we're doing.
Agreed.
Of course.
Yeah, agreed.
So like you can embellish it. You can, you know, basically you're like adding commentary to what was already done, you know, and you're kind of showing how it influenced you.
Yeah.
You know, not to, like, I've never been one to like want to recreate exactly, you know, note for note, you know, like every little iota, like, you know, to recreate the song.
Yeah.
You know, like I want to put, you know, and I guess that's like, you know, after being, you know, playing with Typo for so many years and how we approached covers, where we approached it was, how would this song sound had Typo Negative written it?
Summer Breeze is a prime
any of the
example
covers
of
that we did, like, you know, if it sounded too much like the original, it usually got scrapped. You know, like if we were doing something like, you know, whatever, because we were always playing covers. Sometimes I would ask Peter, are we like, you know, working our way to being a wedding band or something? You know, is that going to be the next phase for us? Because we're always playing all these covers. And there were times like in our set, like, you know, in the live set on certain tours, like almost like a third of the show was cover songs. It was like, you know, we got like, you know, at this point, it's like, you know, we're like, you know, 4 records deep and we're doing a lot of cover songs. We could be playing our own songs.
You know, the cover song I wanted from Typo that I never got? I wanted Putting on the Ritz by Taco as done by Typo.
I want to see Peter dressing up like Peter Boyle and Young Frankenstein doing Putting on a Ritz.
Yeah.
that would be great. That'd be great.
That version I'll play.
Very cool.
Yeah. Before we go out, Johnny, you want to talk a little bit about some of the I don't want to call it charitable work, but your work with furry friends with you and your wife.
Yes.
Oh, but that's the rescue that Bernadette's involved in is called Rescue Row. The website is rescuerowinc.org.
Okay.
She's been involved with the rescuing and fostering dogs and, you know, rehoming them at least like 6-7 years, pretty much not long after we moved down here to Texas. She got involved with that. And so I try to help out, like, you know, offering, you know, getting some of the bands to sign some things, you know, like drum heads and stuff. And, you know, try to auction off some memorabilia to try to like raise money for the dogs and, like, you know, bring the awareness of that to, you know, the platform that I have. So, like, there's this thing I was telling you about earlier about this Typo Negative Bloody Kisses table.
Yeah.
You gotta find the link. Gotta find the link and post the link. It's from
Brittany Elliott.
Brittany Elliott, Johnny and Ray's wife. She does these. She makes these tables. I mean, she makes, like, you know, like Metallica tables, like, you know, like all kinds of like metal bands and stuff. And they're really cool. It's like, you know, she'll take like this beat up old table and like turn it into something like spectacular and artistic. And so she offered it up to donate it to the rescue. So we're auctioning it off, and it's all the proceeds are going to go to Rescue Row. There's the pin I was telling you about. I just saw it today.
Yep.
It has like the O negative logo in the middle of like a paw print, and like if you make any kind of you make a donation, or if you get involved with the auction, like if you make a bid on the table for the auction, you automatically get a pin.
Well, we will certainly do our part to get that out there. I will certainly use, you know, my personal the social media accounts with all the Typo fans to get that out there for you as well. But guys, thank you. Dan, as always, You are the master and a pleasure to talk to. Johnny, it's lovely to see you again.
Good to see you.
Great to meet you, Johnny.
Wow.
Real quick, guys, I just want to say thank you for coming on tonight, taking time out of your schedule, and thank you for making great music and bringing some nostalgia back into my life. Seriously, because you just don't hear this type of music anymore, and it feels so good to have you guys putting this out there. So thank you for that. Thank you.
It's either trend setting or we're like dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Either way you slice it, you're filling up Dave's empty cup. So
It is.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, thank you much, guys.
Thank you.
Continued success to both of you in all the projects, and we look forward to the new record.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Have a great night.
All right, guys. Enjoy the rest of the
Awesome.
night.
See you.